in the book A Secret Life of Trees, of The Secret Life of Trees, the author is writing about how in the forest the trees that you see are either hugely related to each other or further apart than two different species of animals. So that means that the trees that you see, like for example, if you see the spruce trees over here, they are probably all biologically, almost genetically, I should say, almost identical to each other or farther apart than two different species of animals, which is a huge thing. That means that the trees have a huge genetical difference between each other if you talk about two different trees, or they are clones of each other. So that means that there is a mom tree, if you want to humanize it, that clones itself into more spruce trees. I think that's an amazing thing to, it's an unbelievable thought. So that also makes it really sad if you think about forestry, but that's a whole nother story. In Sweden, because you have a lot of trees, a lot of spruce trees like that, considering they're not planted separately as being little trees already, because then they might come from anywhere, alongside the roads, they keep them short. They want to take them away, but nature keeps spreading towards the roads, and that means that next to the roads there's a lot of this small starting spruce tree babies, if you would say, starting to grow. Of course they don't want it, because if it's too close to the road it poses a danger if they grow too big, so they keep them short. So that means that there's a lot of them growing around there, and what I want is to have a layer almost of spruce trees next to the house on the side of the road. So in winter it's still green, because they stay green in winter, right? And they have a thick layer of green all the way to the bottom. So I was thinking of taking the baby trees from the road that are there anyway and that are being held short or cut down every time, mowed down because they're that small, and digging them up and planting them further away from the road so they stand a chance and I have green coverage in winter from the road, which would mean that it's a shield from the wind, it's a shield from the sound, it's a visibility shield, so a privacy shield if you want to call it that way, and I give the little spruce trees a chance of becoming, well, big trees and being protected in a sense. So that's my plan for the day. I've already planted 10 of them, so it works, the plan. They're really strong, so they can handle the being planted. And yeah, the cats are out, they're playing around here, so they're probably gonna keep me from doing a lot of work, but I'm excited to go for it and see what it brings me. I'm gonna show you how to do it and what I'm doing. Okay, see you later. That's what I mean. This is a little spruce, there's a little spruce, there's a little spruce, it's a little pine, but same concept. Well, and here it starts like a crazy amount of them. There's a car coming. You can see how many little spruce trees there are, like huge numbers. Two cars. And you see there's the house, and that means those are all poplars and some birds, I would say. Here's a whole patch of nothingness, and there's poplars again. There is a pine, red pine growing there, so it is possible for them to grow, even though it's really shallow. But as I said, here they grow, and almost on the asphalt, people. So that's how little soil they need to grow. They spread their roots almost horizontal. It's really cool. But yeah, I don't want them on the road. I want them on here. So I have already planted a couple of them. I just took them from the side of the road. Plant them like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 about, and in there also a couple. So yeah, I'm gonna keep on planting. For those who are wondering why there's a different car on our driveway right now, it's because we have got a different car. And not because we wanted a different car so bad, but because the other one was literally falling apart. And I know how to repair cars, sort of, using YouTube instruction videos. I can come a long way. I can do a lot of things. I'm not afraid to try it, so that usually works out kind of okay. But with this one, it was first the tires. I've changed tires for like 3 times. One time a tire exploded 200 meters in front of the house. I broke a rim because I slid when the road was frozen. Well, there's a lot of things going on with it, and one of the brakes was like really shitty, and it started running, and the rubber was gone from it at some point. So, and yeah, it needed to be replaced. And then at some point, I found this on the driveway right here somewhere, and yeah, this is not the brake block. It is the thing that holds the brake block. So the brake block was, I don't even know if you say it like that in English, but it was completely gone. So the claw, the brake claw, was on the metal, on the disc. And because it's a hydraulic system, right, it slowly pinches in when there's no resistance. So it was pushing itself into the metal, and that was getting dangerous. So we decided to yeah, spend a little money on a different car that is at least safe, so I can get to work and we can get out of here if we have to. So it became this one. It's the most Swedish thing I can imagine. Volvo Villa Vove is what they say. If they say it correctly, Janet. And yeah, now all we need is the Vove, which is a dog. Woof, I think that comes from that, but that's what they say here in Sweden. That's the humble Swedish dream. So the Villa, the Volvo, and now the Vove. A cat doesn't count, by the way. So yeah, so that's why there's another car right now, and it feels so much safer. It's not new, it's not perfect. It has rust on it, and it has, well, it needs a little work. Has a little, how do you call it? Condensation in one of the headlights. Well, things like that. But it's nice. It runs on flexi fuel, so we can tank pretty cheap. It has a heated block. So in winter, remember the video that it was minus 20 that I couldn't start the Peugeot? Well, I hope that fixes this problem in winter. So yeah. This is a big upgrade, especially safety-wise. So that's why there's a new car right now, or a different car. And yeah, it feels so much better. So, yeah. That's pretty much how simple it is. You look, they got it come out. And I'm using a shovel, but you don't even need to, they're so shallow. You see the root system, how horizontal it is? That's cool, right? So that means that they will, they only need a tiny little bit of soil to grow a strong root system. And they grow pretty close together, so they don't grab on just to the rocks, they also grab onto each other like that. So thinking about the story that I just told about them being relatives, but one of them being a mom and the rest being kids, I always think it's a really cool thing that when it storms, the kids literally hold on to each other in order not to fall over. I think it's a really cool thing. So yeah, that's how they come out, and that's how I'm gonna plant them again. And it's gonna, they're beautiful like little bonsais, right? Really cool, I love them. Cool, let's continue and plant some. We talked about last time I talked about wanting to cut down all the trees and make everything straight, and I called it the Dutch syndrome because I hear a lot of Dutch people and Germans also have that. Maybe it's hugely generalized, of course, but I have it. So what I'm really trying to restrain myself from here is to create, as they call here in Sweden, an IKEA forest, which is all the straight lines, like, and instead just randomize it as much as possible, while at the same time seeing from this side as much coverage as possible for later on. So if I lower myself a little bit, then you might be able to see that seeing from here, I just want to see a green like little layer. But then when they stand up, I want it to be as random as possible. So that's a challenge for me because I want to measure them and make them as uniform as possible, which is not how nature works and not how I want to work in this case. So for that same reason, I'm going to put spruce first. I'm going to let the birch trees and the poplars invade that same space, and maybe plant some red pine just for the hell of it in the same sort of spot every now and then to get some biodiversity going. And it's of course something that nature will hopefully take over the course of the next 10 years or so. So yeah, this is a short project with a long-term vision, and yeah, who knows about the future, but I hope this will turn into a really nice biodiverse little strip of vegetation. So that's what I'm aiming for here, and it's going pretty well. I planted around I don't want to exaggerate, 20 trees, a little more. So I'm gonna happily continue, and because maybe they not all survive. Tomorrow we're gonna get rain, so that's good. Yeah, so let's keep going. So I have planted about 45 trees right now, 45 spruce trees, and while I'm on my pika break eating eggs, if you're wondering, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the spruce tree, because it is a pretty remarkable tree. Apart from the fact that I'm using it to put around the house, it is a pretty cool tree. So, for those who don't know, the spruce tree is the one that looks like a Christmas tree. The one shaped like a pyramid. So, red pine you see a lot here. Those are the ones with more vegetation on top than at the bottom, and the spruce trees are shaped like this. So if a pine is a little bit like this, a spruce tree is a little bit like that, you know. So one of the things that is really cool about the spruce tree is in winter there's not a lot of vitamin C going around, and the spruce tree, even though in spring it's way better, but the spruce tree stays green all year round, and making tea of the little needles gives a lot of vitamin C. So all year round you can get vitamin C from spruce trees if you want. In spring the little sprouts, I don't know if you say it like that, but it starts growing again, right? So it's sprouting, I guess. But those are the light colored, fresh little needles, and they're like a whole bunch together always, and you can pick them. You can make tea out of them also. They're a little bit sour, but you can eat them as well, and then you get a lot of vitamin C right away. So that's one really cool thing about the spruce tree. A second really cool thing is that the sap that is in it is antiseptic and antibacterial. So what you can do if you take the sap and you take a lot of it, and you take about 40% sap and about 40% bee wax is the best, but if you don't have it you can use Vaseline, and about 20% oil. I don't use the oil, I take more spruce, but some people say that it because it stays more like a cream. What I do, it says a brand on the bottom, but that's not what's in it. You cook it together. So you first put spruce in it, you take all the dirt out when it melts in a pan. Take an old pan, because you can never use it again after that, for something else at least. You take that, you melt it down, so keep stirring it, don't let it cook, because then it's just gonna turn black and it's gone. And then put the Vaseline in and let that melt also. Then when it's all mixed together, you get the chunks of spruce resin. You take that out, and you let the whole brown goo cool down in the refrigerator. You pour it into a can and you get something like this. And you can put it on wounds. I polish my shoes with it. They get a really nice color. You can put it on your face, on your lips if it's dry, because the resin from the tree is made to protect the tree when it's hurt. That is pretty much also what it does to your skin, and that's really cool. And it works so well, and it smells so much better than the crap that you buy in the store, if you ask me. Look at it. And right now I got, oh fuck, there it goes. And right now I got, because I'm working with the spruce and they have all these little needles, it's stinging me everywhere. So I got this little, it looks like splinters almost everywhere. So I'm just taking them out, put this stuff on, and it heals the skin really well. So that's really cool about the spruce tree. Another thing which also really cool is that the bark, in times when there was really big poverty, not just in Sweden probably, but they probably did it around the world, wherever spruce is growing, the bark, if you grind it to a powder and put water in it, they call it poor man's bread. You can technically make a bread out of it, and I haven't tried it, but they say it tastes like nothing, and it has not a lot of nutritional value, but at least the people had a sensation of having something in the stomach, and if the stomach works, it tricks you into thinking you're not hungry. So even though you don't get a lot of nutrition, it stops the feeling of hunger, and that's what they used it for. Combining it in summer with blueberries or something and like that, you can get some nutrition, of course, and you can get a reasonable, at least something that goes for a reasonable meal. So that's yeah, I love this tree. There's a lot of cool things about it. It's shaped like a tent all year round. So that's what some animals use it for also. They sleep under it. So if you're lost in the forest and it starts raining, go under the spruce tree and you will see that it's dry there, which is on itself a really cool survival hack, right? Because you can go in there and stay dry for the night. Because it's dry there, if it rains and you need to make a fire, you can go under the spruce tree and take the dry twigs. If they break easy, then you know they're dry on the inside, because the inner core of the tree is usually made up of small dead twigs that didn't make it to the outside to photosynthesize. Photosynthesize? I don't know if that's a word, you know what I mean. They didn't get any sunlight, so they die off and stay inside. So if you take them, they can make a really good tinder. So to start a fire in the rain, I can teach you sometime to do the whole process, but that's the starter, and you build up from there to bigger twigs, and at some point it doesn't matter anymore if the outside is wet, it just burns and the inside is dry. So it's just for starting a fire in the rain. Works really well. I've done it many times. So snow also, rain, hail, is that how you call it? In all sorts of weather conditions. So it works really well. That's something else about the spruce tree. Do we have more? What I showed you before is that here in Scandinavia, you see, in most Scandinavian countries, you see that there's only like a thin layer of soil most of the time, and then it's granite, depending on where you are, stone, rock. That's why, as I said, I think I said it before, but the roots of these trees, if you ask a kid to draw a tree, they will draw it with the roots down. Well, here they grow sideways 9 out of 10 times, because they cannot go down, they cannot penetrate the rocks. And what ends up happening, which I think is very romantic in the tree sense of the word, is that the trees literally hold each other up. So when the wind comes, the trees have interlocked their roots horizontally on a thin layer of soil with rock underneath, and they balance on each other, which is, in my opinion, some really cool strategy of nature. If you come to a little bit older forest and the soil is thin, you see that the roots come out of it, out of the dirt, and it looks like this magical Harry Potter kind of forest, which is really cool to see. The downside of it is, of course, that if one tree falls, a lot of times it's not the only tree that falls. Usually you see like little clusters of trees, sometimes 3 trees or 4 to a tree that fell together. And that's because they hold on to each other when they fall, which I think is really cool. Anything else about it? Smells great when you burn it. That is also a really, if you saw it, if you burn it, if you hold it, your hand smells nice. It's a really nice smell, the smell of spruce. So yeah, that's also a big plus. So if you have it in the house, even if you're not burning it, but if you just saw it and lay it in the house to dry, your whole house, if you're lucky, smells like spruce, which is a really good smell. Almost as good as juniper, which is a story for another time. But yeah, that's a little bit about spruce. I'm probably forgetting half of the things that you can do with it, that you can use it for, that other properties that it has. If you know something that I haven't, that I forgot to say, or that I maybe don't know, put it in the comments, because I think it's cool to read that, and I want to learn more about it, of course, because I think they're awesome. I'm gonna get back to my fika break, but I wanted to well, talk a little about tree. I love trees and animal tracks, but you already know that. So yeah, I'm gonna plant some more trees after this. I'm at 45. I hope to do, well, a nice bunch more. I'm not gonna say a number. So yeah, see you later. Hey do. So to give you an idea of what I'm doing, I cut once like that with a shovel, and once like that with a shovel. Then I rip it open with my bare man hands, yes I said it, like that. I put this little thing in here, and I close it back up, so press it a little bit, and like that, there you go, you planted a tree. This is what you look like when you plant 70 trees before lunch. Zo, tack för att du tittar. Det var allt för idag. Thanks for watching. That's it for today. If you like it, please subscribe, would help me a lot. And otherwise, maybe see you next time. Thank you very much. See you later. Hey do.